One thing that was unique in each and every one of them, of these five, and who might be watching in online or here, one thing that was unique was they had a lot of struggles. You know, it's such a struggle to try to be a good human. It's such a struggle to try to heal yourself. It's such a struggle to try to perfect yourself. Such a struggle to be a better person. And it doesn't work. It does not work. And for each and every one of these five, after going through a lot of struggles and trying to make themselves better and trying to make themselves spiritual or just nice or not so flawed or not with weaknesses, after a lot of struggling with this and a lot of crazy dreams, they kind of work hand in hand. They woke up one morning, each and every one of them, one morning, and suddenly they just got it. They just got it. It's an interesting study in a way, because after all the struggle with no real end in sight, not knowing that it was going to be within a week or a month or a year, no real end in sight, they just got it. It came together. And they woke up that morning, and instead of a feeling of struggle, how do I do enlightenment? How can I become realized? How can I be this person I have tried to be, that I thought I wanted to be? They woke up in the morning after a rather intense night of dreams, and there was a calmness. And there wasn't all that activity in the mind, and there wasn't that struggle. There wasn't a great big question mark sitting right in front of them when they woke up. Instead, they woke up and they took a deep breath and they just smiled. I got it, they said. I got it. Now, it wasn't lightning bolts. It wasn't like some of the experiences that some of you have had with cosmic consciousness, the feelings of tremendous soaring into other realms, but also with a tremendous imbalance in the human body and mind. It was a calmness. And it was without all the questions and all the nagging doubts and all the wondering when. It was for each and every one of them, a calm and peaceful moment. It wasn't the type of moment they wanted to run down the street screaming at the top of their lungs, I'm enlightened, I'm enlightened. It was just there. And it was such a feeling of relief. No tension, no wondering what's going to happen next. And not because they thought about not thinking about what was going to happen next, trying not to think about it, but there just wasn't the thought. They didn't have to try to think about the natural state of enlightenment. It was just there. They didn't have to wonder what's coming with this world, because in a way, it doesn't matter. They didn't carry it on their shoulders, because they know that it's absolutely in perfection the way it is. And they didn't wonder how much light they brought into their body, or how much of their ancestors they've released or not released, or whether they're going to get cancer, or how old they're. All of this ceased, just like that, for each and every one of them. It was just all there, realized. It was actually a feeling of simplicity and grace, one that cannot be thought of in the mind. You can't think your way into grace or simplicity. You can allow it. And it happened to these five because, well, they'd reached the end of their limits. If I had introduced you to them a year ago and said, here's the one that is going to be realized, one of the five in a year from now, you would have thought that I was joking or lying. You wouldn't have imagined, because in a way they were an emotional wreck. Their lives were so imbalanced. They were so fragile. So very fragile, not sensitive. Sensitive is okay, fragile, like they're going to break apart. They were so on the borderline of joining the other 100 or so who crossed over, so on the borderline. You wouldn't have thought you would want that as your standard, your example of somebody who's going to be one of the 5 first masters on the planet. No, you wouldn't have. But I bring that up to each and every one of you. I bring it up because your journey is so much the same. The questions, the doubts, the wondering when, the trying hard, the trying to be a good or better human. Each one of these 5 finally said no more. In a way, they gave up. They stopped. They were so fragile, they were afraid they were going to blow apart, and they probably would have, but they just stopped. And they stopped trying. They stopped working at it. They were kind of in a no place, a no zone for a while. That's what happens when you just stop. It feels terribly uncomfortable for the human, but not for the master. Terribly uncomfortable to stop the ceaseless activities. Terribly uncomfortable not to have a program for that day, not to have to study your spirituality or practice it. Actually, not even to think about it. Terribly uncomfortable because it's not the suit of clothes you've been wearing. It's not you. It's hard to identify with that, but they had no place else to go other than the other side. So they just stopped. And when they did, that momentum, that directive of fulfillment was finally able to come in. All the aspects, all the parts and pieces, all of the fragments, all of the lost parts of themselves were able to come in. And what really happened in that big night of dreams that preceded their waking up in the morning into realization, what really happened was that the singular being that they thought they were, and that you think you are, that singular being, suddenly really opened up and allowed in the and. You can't think your way into and. You can know what it means, but you can't think your way into it. You cannot work your way into it. You can't earn your way into it. You can understand the energetic concept that you're not a singular human. You have been for many, many lifetimes, living in a singular reality and believing it, believing this reality. That's kind of the joke, but it's a good joke and a bad joke. That's kind of a very interesting experience, very interesting experience in what the perception and what consciousness can do to live in singularity. But you were never intended to be that way. And I tell you this as we open up our Transhuman series. Transhuman means going beyond just the human, transcending humanness, not going out of it. And that's one of the common misperceptions. Well, let's go from being human to being Superman. No, you don't. There's still the human. And there is so much more. It's a very, very simple physics of enlightenment. And it's receiving that and. And that's what these 5 did. Each and every one of them, a night of dreams, kind of like the Last Supper, but doing it in the dream state, doing kind of in a way, a ceremony, a final bringing together, and then the awakening in the morning. When was the last time you woke up in the morning feeling absolutely refreshed? Not recently. Don't even kid yourself or me. Not recently. You wake up in the morning feeling groggy at best, tired often, but they woke up in the morning and not feeling like they just drank 20 cups of coffee and had a lot of false energy. They woke up in the morning and it was simply feeling clean. Calder's throwing that word in. Thank you, Virgo. Simply feeling clean on the inside. When was the last time you felt really clean on the inside? Really without the grit and without the dust and the dirt and the grime and the oil and the garbage, but they woke up just feeling refreshed and not thinking to themselves, oh, geez, I got to go get a T-shirt that says, I'm an enlightened being, in case you're into T-shirts. But just having relaxed into enlightenment. And the biggest thing was, the most important thing was they stopped trying. Now, granted that they did a lot of work, like you. They went through a lot of hells and a lot of insights. They went through a lot. But all of a sudden when they stopped, it was like now everything they had done, all the work that they had done, all the things that they had learned, everything was suddenly able to swoop in, to be within. It wasn't just out there in pieces anymore. It just came in. What did they do the rest of the day? You wonder? Now, they didn't say, I'm a master either. It's just like, I just feel so clean and clear. Later on, it wasn't until actually later on they started to say, is this realization? Is this enlightenment? And then it's like, it doesn't matter because I'm not searching for it anymore. I'm not trying for it anymore. Therefore, it must be. If that is not my goal, then I must have made it. If suddenly I don't care about it, then I must be. What did they do the rest of the day? Well, they did what they would normally do, but they didn't do it with the stress and with the wondering, am I contracted some disease? Oh God, did a mosquito bite me? Do I have Zika virus? And they just went about their day. But could you imagine for a moment going about your day and not having that friction, not having that weight, not having that nagging doubt, not wondering what's coming next, just doing it. They had simple days. A few of them went to the grocery store because they were hungry. That's what you do. They didn't suddenly manifest the food in front of them, but they can. But they didn't. They went to the grocery store, but there was an ease. And there wasn't the stress of going to the store and the stress of worrying, oh, God, are these organic and are these vegetarian? And it's like they didn't worry about that. Or is there too much sugar? Or there wasn't that stress. It was meaningless. And they didn't have to fight, resist an urge to go buy a big chocolate cake. And say, oh, no, I really want that, but it just wasn't there. The stress wasn't there. And if they bought the cake, fine. If they didn't, fine. But you know what that's like? Oh, God, I would love that, but I can't eat that. Oh, stop tormenting me with your chocolate.
Did any of them go to Costco for lunch?
No, I don't think they went food sampling at Costco. At least that's what, I don't know Costco, but Caldra is telling me, no, do not do food sampling there. And a few of them went to their jobs, but two of them had a job, three of them did not work. That should tell you something. Didn't have a regular job. And a few of them took their beloved pets out for a walk in the park. And two of them took a very long nap. Thought, hey, if that last night's sleep was good, I'm going to take a nap. It's going to be even better when I wake up. They just took a nap because they could. They continued on with their life, but with a whole different perspective, not a mental perspective, something very experiential. They were there. They were there. Could you imagine for a moment when the body not feeling the tiredness and not feeling the jet stream of your ancestors, it's sucking you back in. It just wasn't there. I mean, they all realized, their biological family, but that suction wasn't there. And I would say the biggest thing was just the mind stuff wasn't there. What am I doing? Who am I? When am I going to get enlightened? None of that was there. Could you imagine a difference in your day? They didn't go out and perform little feats of magic, making gold coins appear in their hands. It was meaningless. That's what a human does. But a master doesn't have to play that game. The master doesn't have to go impress others by, producing things out of nothing. It's meaningless. That actually drags you more back into being a singular human than it does into singularity of the master. And there's a big difference. The words sound the same, but there is a huge difference in the words. One had a relationship. 4 did not. That should tell you something. That there are some who can do a really good relationship, yes. Would you like a drink?
Oh, yeah.
Relationships are difficult, and those who can do it are truly admired and honored. But relationships, while you're going through this, are difficult. But 4 did not have relationships. 1 did, and that 1 did not go and tell their, what do you call it these days, their partner, live-in, whatever. Did not run and tell the person, oh, you wouldn't believe what happened. I'm enlightened and you're not. Or that thing you've been laughing at me about for all these years for that group I went to. Well, it finally happened. There was no need to mention it. Can you just imagine that for a moment? You wake up in the morning after about 10 lifetimes of really hard work trying to be a spiritual person, and then you let it all go, and suddenly it's all there. You wake up in the morning, and it's just this feeling of, I'm alive. I am that I am. I am here. No battle about it anymore. No trying to make yourself any better. I guess you would call it an acceptance, an allowing. I am that I am. And with that, the realization, I am here. I'm a human. I'm functioning on this planet. And I am all these other things. And that was what they finally allowed in. That's what sank in. If there's any message that they had for each and every one of you, which I asked them, any message from 5 who have actually allowed it, stop trying so hard. Stop working on your human self. It will get you no further. It will maybe make you think you're doing something. It'll occupy your time. It'll give you a certain sense of mission, goal, battle. But ultimately, the 5 would tell you, just stop it right now. Be the human and be everything else that comes along. That's it. And then you'll have a night of dreams, and you'll wake up in the morning, and you'll have that sense of clear and clean, because that directive of fulfillment, that bringing everything together is there. All this is natural. Yes, there's a lot we talk about. When I'm talking with you, it's to reassure you. I think there's that constant dilemma. Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? I'm actually not really teaching you anything. I'm just reassuring you. I give you some words. I do a little distracting, but I'm saying to you, you're on the right path. Now, stop trying to be so right and just allow. We're coming into this year, this series this year, and how do I paint this picture for you? You've done all the work. Those of you who are still here, those of you who haven't left, and nothing wrong with those who have left, but they wanted to keep working on the human. But for those of you who are still here, this is the year when you just take that deep breath. You stop trying. I mean, everything in your life. It doesn't mean that, Calder's asking me, for instance, well, so you don't build a beautiful master's club. Well, no, is that trying, or is that just being creative? It's work, but you're not trying to just improve yourself. You know the difference between you go out and build something just because you can, or you create a song because you can, or you create a class because you can, or do a painting because you can. That's not working. That's just living. But versus the constant grinding away, you can almost feel the gears grinding away as you're trying to work on yourself, improve yourself, make yourself more spiritual, make that human better. It's time to let that go. Be really good. Be allowing of the human. And then you start to realize there's so much more. That's where we're going. That's why I want to call it the Transhuman series.